Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva.
and this is Twisted Listeners, a podcast about murder.
And Bliss.
And this is part two of Murdered While Jogging. And Diva just told me before we started recording that her case is good for yelling. And mine is
It
more
will
just like,
promote yelling.
mine's just weird. So, not really yelly so much as just like kind of sad and then like also weird.
Okay.
So I'm glad because I feel like we've got some different we're covering a lot of bases today, we'll say. We've got a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be mad, if you want to be intrigued or confused or find something slightly funny, we're going to have all that for you today, which is good.
Great.
What should we anything to talk about?
Mm, uh, very sleepy.
I'm very sick of LA being cold. Like, I'm really
Oh
ready for
yeah.
that to like
This
not
happened
be.
last year. It's the exact same thing where it was like overcast and cloudy through like mid-June, like the third week of June. That happened last year too.
Yeah, and then it came back in September. So we had like
Mm-hmm.
2 months of like warm, the weather that people are
Honestly,
like, this is LA weather. We had that for 2 months last year, and it's on track to do the
I'm
same
not
thing.
that bothered because I kind of hate summer. I'm a summer hater and I love fall. So the sooner it can feel like fall, the happier
Well, you've
I
come to the
am.
wrong place, okay? I feel
I
everybody who wants that shit ass weather should just move somewhere with that shit ass
I don't want
weather.
shit ass weather. I actually specifically love like mid-level overcast. I love it. Not right now actually
No,
because now it's like okay, now it's summer, but in September, yes, then it's okay to me.
I want to
Um
still be in the pool through like mid-October. I want
No,
to wear
no. I want
shorts
it to
at
be cold
Thanksgiving.
and crisp. I want to fucking crunch leaves under my feet. I want to drink a
Mm-mm.
pumpkin spice
That's why
beverage.
you go move to Massachusetts, where you get that
No, but
weather.
I can't handle their coldest cold. I can't handle like snow. I can't handle that shit. I just want like a light breeze.
Okay,
Um,
well,
that's
listen.
all. Actually, I just met someone this week from visiting from Chicago,
Hmm.
and I made them laugh really hard because I was like, "Did you know that Los Angeles people are like hot and bothered that it's like overcast?" And they were like laughing and laughing and laughing because this is like incredible to them. So,
I love Chicago. I truly like it is such a fucking cool city and
hmm
such a fun place to visit. But holy shit, they could not have worse weather. They could not have
yeah,
worse
there's a
weather.
big conference in my field that takes place every year in February in Chicago,
Oh
and I've never
no.
gone.
Yeah, mm-mm.
I'm like,
No,
no,
no.
no,
Chicago weather is
no, thank you.
fucking crazy. Like
Yeah.
so it's in the I'm gonna tell you right now. Chicago, Illinois. It's 75 today, 67 tomorrow, 70 on Saturday, then gets to the upper 70s and 80s, but is raining in the week. 3 days of like around 80 degrees and raining. Now that's like your standard like mid early summer. Like I was there in the middle of summer and there
hmm
was like a crazy thunderstorm and it's like 90 degrees. And then in the winter it just tries to murder you. It actually the city tries to freeze you to death. So in any case, I love Chicago, but goddamn that weather. So I guess I shouldn't complain about ours.
So it could be worse.
Could be worse. Could be worse. All right. Anyway, that was a really exciting
So weather report.
conversation. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, very exciting.
Should we talk about freeways next? Maybe not.
Oh
Um,
no,
all
are
right.
we? Am I going first?
You are going first.
Oh, I completely
Yeah.
forgot how that works.
I know. I was like, am I going first? What's happening? So yeah, take it away, friend.
Okay. I was up at 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. So
Oof,
I'm
I'm
like,
so
I'm
sorry.
firing on all cylinders. It's okay. I got
That is
caffeine. I'm
rough.
rocking the caffeine here.
Ooh, okay.
Mm.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to talk about Laken Riley. I kind of like went back and forth on doing this, like, oh, because it's just like there's a lot of angering political stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So just be warned, buckle up.
All right.
But the first part of the story is just a horrific murder, and then we'll talk about the political stuff.
Okay.
So, Laken was a 22-year-old nursing student at Augusta University. She had just graduated, I believe, with her undergraduate degree from the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. So she was basically continuing on nursing school as kind of like her graduate studies in the same town.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she wanted to work at a children's hospital. She's super like good-hearted and excellent person by all accounts. She was an excellent student. She made the dean's list through undergrad, so she's just like rocking it. She was very into her church and her sorority. So like just a very cliche, not to be negative, but just a cliche like Christian sorority attending college girl, just doing very well for
Right.
herself.
Just having her very nice, normal life.
Wholesome life, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's just yeah, doing very well. She would have been a really promising doctor, I'm sure. Spoiler alert. Uh I'm
Yeah,
talking about her
would have been.
in this tense would have been.
Yeah, yeah.
Because on February 22nd of this year, so this is a very hot recent crime, like hot in the
Mm-hmm.
news. February 22nd, she actually went for a morning run at the college's intramural fields.
Okay.
Laken was a really avid runner and just into fitness in general. She had run several marathons and done cross country running in high school, so she was like, this is her normal routine.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, she actually often ran with friends, like more often, but this time she just randomly went by herself. Um,
So it's
and
just
she's,
totally, of
yeah,
course. I swear to God, this is always how it happens. It's like the one time that like they go by themselves,
yeah,
or like in my last case, it was like her mom told her not to go, and then was like, "Fuck it, you should go." Like, what the fuck? Okay, sorry.
yeah. So she doesn't come back from this run, and her friends pretty quickly report her missing. Her and Zip Zop Zoop. Why do I have no buffer transition here? I always do this. Anyway,
Sorry.
pretty much right away, I think like hours later, the same day, her body was found in a wooded area just off of campus at the Allen Herrick Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Or kind of not like by the lake, but in the wooded area around it.
Okay.
Um, so this is not a huge murder mystery because very quickly, I think the next day, a suspect is identified in the media as Jose Antonio Ibarra.
Mm-hmm.
And Ibarra is a citizen of Venezuela. We'll talk about that in a second. And he came to the US in 2022 by crossing the border in Texas. For crossing the border, he was arrested but released on parole,
Okay.
which I'll talk about more in a second. This is basically where someone can temporarily stay in the country
Mm-hmm.
under like kind of it's like parole essentially, like they're kind of like watching you, like if you fuck up you'll get sent home, right?
Okay.
And basically someone can yeah, the I thought is I think that they can do crimes and theoretically get sent home or
Mm-hmm.
deported. In summer 2023, he was charged by New York police, where he originally settled in New York, for acting in a lewd manner to a child less than 17.
Oh,
So
uh-uh.
not great.
Not great.
Um, and
No.
he also got a separately this is less crazy, but a driver's license violation because he was driving a scooter without a license with a child on the scooter who did not have a helmet.
Ugh,
So he
so
also got fined for that.
he's just a dumbass is what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he just makes
And
poor
then
decisions.
yeah, so then last fall he and his brother were charged with shoplifting at a Georgia Walmart. So just really petty stuff. The obviously the acting in a lewd manner or whatever is less petty, it's
Mm-hmm.
more serious. And then the other things are kind of minor.
Mm-hmm.
Um but yeah, Jose lived about a mile away from where Laken went running that day. He was in Athens, and the basically they said they found him through security video. So I forget the specifics, or if I don't know if how much they've released. It's all very like limited, the information on this case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he was like seen wearing he had very distinctive shoes on that day. Perhaps there were also footprints. I didn't see anything about that, but I think he was seen on a very nearby security camera, like leaving the scene or like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's the fucking guy. Like it was not a very complicated investigation. Um,
Right.
there's Jose, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, that kind of thing. So the arrest affidavit reveals basically what the authorities believe transpired. And also, by the way, he's charged with 10 counts in this, and one of them is separate from this case, is of being a peeping Tom. So he was also peeping through someone else's window and then did this,
And
just
then
to
did
paint a
this.
picture of
So
what.
he's like on a
Yeah.
tear. Like he's like really
Hmm.
doing a lot.
He's like out, like being a predator, basically.
Yeah, like just straight
Um,
up.
hunting. Yeah.
Okay.
So they allege that Jose basically just came up to Laken and physically assaulted her with some kind of object.
Mhm.
I haven't seen anywhere what that was, but he beat her unconscious or debilitated her in some way,
Mhm.
and then dragged her into this wooded area where she was ultimately found. And he killed her through blunt force trauma and asphyxiation, which were her two causes of death.
Oof.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they haven't really gotten into tons of specifics. Like I said, all we have is that arrest affidavit so
Mhm.
far. Um, they said that he spotted her running, and this is a quote unquote crime of opportunity. They obviously didn't know each other, but like I said, he's just like out there for looking for prey, essentially.
I mean, it kind of does sound
Um,
like that. Like it really
yeah,
does sound like a crime of opportunity.
yeah. Like I said, it's unclear to me where the security camera was that helped the authorities, identify him. But it sounds
Mhm.
like a kind of open and shut case. Um, I was just like Googling to see if I could like. No, I haven't seen anywhere of like security camera at the, grocery
Mhm.
store. So I haven't really seen that detail. Just security video.
Right.
Um, so he hasn't gone to trial yet. And actually, this is very much in the news because as of like hours ago, he just appeared this morning in a court hearing. We're recording on May 31st.
Mhm.
He appeared in a court hearing arraignment and pleaded not guilty. So that
Wait,
happened.
today?
Yeah,
Holy
today. He
shit.
just now, just a couple hours ago, I think, or was it yesterday? No, I think it was today.
I just
Because
looked
they're a
it
few
up
hours
and it
ahead.
says 1 hour ago,
Yeah,
not
he
guilty.
just pleaded not guilty at his arraignment. Yeah,
I
but
mean,
we haven't gone to trial.
okay.
Yeah, and the charges also kind of reveal what they think happened. There include malice murder, kidnapping, aggravated assault with intent to rape. So that implies there's a sexual assault motive, but it didn't actually take place.
Got it. Okay.
Potentially, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's where we are with the case. Obviously, it's really fucked up, and fucked
Mhm.
up for Laken's family, who I'll talk about more in a little bit. But they're just like obviously devastated. This is horrific.
Mhm.
Um, but the second part to this story, unfortunately, is that Laken's horrific murder has been like very aggressively politicized by far right assholes who would have you believe that Jose
Right.
Antonio here, Ibarra, is somehow representative of the undocumented migrant population that is somehow more dangerous than the
Right.
rest of the citizen population,
Mhm.
um, which obviously is statistically untrue. Just in case anyone was wondering, this is my moment to say that's not true. And actually, there's been tons and tons of studies. I mean, it's coming from a place of just blatant racism, right?
Right. Right.
And a fear of brown people that they're trying to drum up, which is kind of like one of Trump's whole like platforms. It's like his big thing.
Well, it's all
Um,
part of the othering process that we were talking about, how like people just
yeah.
really don't see people from like other countries or people with different colored skin as like the same. Like
Yes.
they don't
Yeah.
love their children like we do. They don't like to read books or like they don't like to, you know what I mean? Like they don't have
They're different.
they're different. Like they don't live their
Yeah.
lives the way we
No,
do.
they're not.
It's a very
Um,
strange
So
phenomenon.
if you Google it, if you do some Googling, I won't go through everything in detail here, but basically there's like tons and tons of studies by very reputable universities and think tanks or whatever,
Mhm.
tons of studies that have been performed that prove undocumented immigrants are actually far less likely to commit crimes. Some as much as 30% less likely
Mhm.
to commit crimes than U.S. citizens. And I think the reason is pretty clear, right? Because they're scared of being deported.
Yeah.
So they don't do that. And actually, they're much more likely to be victims of crimes. And
Mhm.
part of that is because they are terrified of reporting anything that happens to them
Right.
because
They
they
don't
don't
want
want
to
to be
get
deported.
deported. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the vast majority of them are just like keeping their head down and working shit jobs and just making money and doing the best they can. Like,
Yeah.
they're obviously no more dangerous than any other population. But like, with any group of people, there's gonna be
Mhm.
fucking assholes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. There's gonna be serial killers. Even
Mhm.
there's gonna be, scary people that come in any population.
But
But it's
that's
no
what
different
yeah, that's
than the citizen population.
yeah, I mean, everybody like, everybody is like a sample of,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's not like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. And they do this too. They do this kind of thing when a homeless person commits a crime, which of course we know the homeless are like way more likely to be victims than anything else.
yeah,
But it's like, and like I said, they're a cross section too. Like homeless people, oh, some of them are assholes. Like, of course that's going to happen. But like, anyway, they do the same shit. But anyway, let me get more into the Laken shit and Laken
okay,
Riley shit here.
okay, yeah,
Um, so the family has really hated, at least the dad. I think the mom and the dad are slightly different here. So her dad, Jason Riley, has come out saying basically, don't politicize my daughter's death, which I really respect his take on it.
yeah,
He said that people on both sides of the like immigration issue have lashed out, quote unquote, at the
hmm,
family, which like obviously don't do that. That's a bad look.
yeah,
um, and even though the family is conservative, like I said, they haven't actually like contributed to the politicization of her death. At least the dad hasn't.
yeah,
And he's come out and said this is really unfortunate. I'll say that again at the end here.
hmm.
But in Biden's March 7th State of the Union address this year, the goblin, Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually was heckling. By the way, I forgot that she's like an actual representative for a state. Like, that's people vote for her?
And she
Like,
makes more
that's
money than we do.
wild.
Like,
That's wild.
yeah, people like this
I forget that
evil
about Mitch McConnell,
scumbag.
too. People are casting votes for Mitch McConnell.
I mean, I feel like Mitch McConnell's maybe out of the picture now, considering he keeps having like mini seizures. Like,
But, like,
oh wait, is that who
but
I'm thinking of? Yeah, Mitch McConnell,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
turtle
even
whip
like
motherfucker.
Republicans with terrible points of view or like views, you're voting for these people.
I
You
know.
know what I mean? Like they're fucking
Well,
anyway. Oof.
people are evil,
Um.
evil.
So she's a representative for the state of Georgia.
Hmm.
And she heckled him and said, "Say her name," meaning Laken, because she's taken up Laken Riley's big platform, right? Like I just mentioned, politicizing this.
Because she obviously cares so much about the girl and her family
No,
that
she
she's
doesn't.
completely
Not at
fucking
all.
disrespecting. She is maybe one of the most reprehensible people, and she's
Oh yeah.
also like so very, very dumb. Like
I have to
she's
let my cat in really quick because she's
let
going
I'm
insane.
gonna rant about Marjorie Taylor Greene while you
Okay.
let your cat in. Can we just talk about the fact that I mean, Diva can't hear me, but I'm talking to you listeners. This woman just there's nothing behind those eyes. There's just a big stupid smile and just dead fucking eyes. Like she is so fucking soulless and evil. Like, and she's just so stupid. Everything she does to like make a point is so fucking like just basic and pedestrian. I cannot fucking stand her. I hate her so much. Hi, you're back.
Yeah, she's really hateable. I co-sign whatever you just said.
She's the most basic bitch
Um,
alive, is basically what I said.
okay. Yeah. And also it's I'm not sure if it's on purpose, who knows, but there's obviously a parallel there to this. People say their names or say her name, say his name about black victims of police violence, right?
Yeah.
So she's like parroting that. Um, oh my god, my motherfucking cat. She's doing that thing where when I go and I'm like, "Do you want in?" She's like, "No." But then when the second I close the door, she like attacks it.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. I'm gonna shove her in this room so she can stop. Oh my god. All right, cats. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, good.
I couldn't catch her. She's too slippery. Okay. All right. So Biden held up at the State of the Union address acknowledging Marjorie here, our friend. Biden held up a Laken Riley pin that she had just given him earlier, and he kind of obliged her. And in trying to say her name, he said Lincoln Riley
Oh, I
because.
remember that because he's demented.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. And then he followed that with quote, this is Biden's quote, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we fucking
It's
call
our
people.
president.
That's what our
Yeah,
democratic president, our Democrat president does that.
yeah. Look,
Ugh.
look and look and listen. Biden's been like arch conservative most of his life slash
Mm-hmm.
now, and
Mm-hmm.
um, using the language "an illegal" like then as a noun, and
Yeah.
also illegal alien or alien is extremely dehumanizing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so fucked.
And yeah, on the same day, Representative Mike Collins, also of Georgia, introduced a bipartisan bill with the support of 37 Democrats to the House of Representatives called the Laken Riley Act. This would require ICE to arrest undocumented people for really minor crimes and petty things like theft, burglary, larceny, or shoplifting, and basically use this as grounds for like immediate deportation.
Mm-hmm. So
So
basically just get them out
someone
of our country.
someone steals a loaf of bread because their family is hungry, they're getting deported, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it also ensures, this is a quote, that states have standing to sue the federal government in cases where federal officials are refusing to enforce immigration law. So it's
Hmm.
great.
Okay.
The bill uses the same language of illegals, illegal alien, very pointedly. Um, and like I said, Jason Riley said about this politicization, quote, it's being used politically to get those votes. It makes me angry. I feel like they're just using my daughter's name for that. And she was much better than that. And she should be raised up for the person that she is. She was an angel. So it's
Oh,
like, why don't we focus on her and not like just use her blatantly,
yeah.
to further a totally unrelated cause.
Okay.
Um, Laken's mom, however, has kind of contributed to this a little bit by meeting with Trump, and kind of publicly, like, being buddies. And she has come out or Trump, not her, but Trump has come out and said that Biden's immigration policies contribute to her murder. And I'll just, I won't get also down another rabbit hole, but I'll say here that Biden's policies and the border do have a lot in common with
Mm-hmm.
Trump's.
Yeah. They're the
And
same
I won't
fucking
go through all the
thing.
stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's if there's a Venn diagram, there's a lot in the middle of that diagram,
Mm-hmm.
that they share, and philosophically very similar. And he's actually talked this year specifically with the last like budget thing he did, spending bill. He's
Mm-hmm.
talked about being cracking down, quote unquote, and like making the border policies more Trumpian, more intense. So he's not like necessarily more liberal about it. However, the one thing that is slightly different is that he has been doing these quote unquote paroles. So that's like in this case. So that's like one of the things that the Trump folks like point to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, God, can you hear that?
No, no.
Okay. All right. My cat's making me insane. Um, the mom also tweeted that it was quote unquote pathetic of Biden to not know her daughter's name, which I guess that's fair. It is a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Considering it was like a hot button issue at the time.
He
Um,
probably did know it, but his brain is
his brain
not
scrambled.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
hmm
mm-hmm.
It's great what you want, really what you want in a president.
Yeah.
Yeah, on another note, I could talk a lot about Venezuela and all of the US policies of fucking with that country and with Latin
Right.
America in general that have directly resulted in the mass wave of migrants we've seen over the last, 5-10 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a final note here about the Laken Riley Act. It passed the House with flying colors.
Oh.
Tons of Democrats voting for it. Um,
Oh,
and it
great.
is now in Yep, it's now in limbo in the Senate, where it's being championed by piece of shit Katie Britt of Alabama.
Oh,
And
so
as of a few
weird.
days ago, Republican senators were still trying to, work on it. It's actively being discussed right now, but some Democrats in the Senate are trying to block it. So there it is, and it sucks that something that's essentially like, uh, it's something that's essentially about like tearing families apart and hurting people is being passed literally in her name. Like that's such a bummer.
Like against the wishes of her family. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
it's really
yeah,
fucked up. It's really fucked up.
yeah. And Jason Riley, her dad, has also said something too. I think it was really smart about like if you're going to make an issue of this, essentially like do something about like violence against women, or do something like that's relevant, about sex trafficking, or something that's actually about like that's relevant to violence against girls,
Yeah.
because that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, goddamn. I mean, it's because nobody
Yeah,
actually cares. The politicians in our country are pieces of shit who just want to push their
no,
agendas.
I feel like when this has happened a couple other times, I forget the other big cases, but like there was that immigrant man who like randomly shot that girl in the head with like a stray bullet. Remember that?
Yeah.
There's like been a couple big cases like this where an immigrant is the perpetrator, and I feel like the Republicans are like excited, like they're like foaming at the mouth when this kind of thing happens. They're just like, oh fuck yeah,
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah. So there it is.
I'm gonna whisk us
Just
away
a
from the US. I'm going
little
to.
politics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal. Um, I'm sorry. I'm a little dead emotionally about that because like
It's
when you
horrible.
compare it to like I mean not even compare it, just add it to like Palestine and add it to like everything going on. It's like we're just like beating a dead horse at this point. Like our
No,
government
I
is
think
the most evil entity in the history of the universe, really.
yes,
Like
yes.
or
I
our
couldn't agree
knowledge of the
more.
universe. Like
I couldn't agree more.
it's like almost
And
cool, except it leads to like misery, suffering, and death for like millions of people. And it's
no,
unreal that we just don't do something about it. Like,
I saw something, maybe you reposted it, that was like, oh, at some point we have to acknowledge that we're trying to ask, our government to care about the children of Palestine when they already don't give a shit about the children of this country. Like, and it's like, oh wait, yeah, that's also true.
yeah, yeah, I
The
know.
immigrant children.
Well,
So,
fuck them. All right, let's go to South Africa. Is that cool? Can we do
oh,
that?
okay, that's also a country with a lot of political issues.
Yes, but we're not really going to talk too much about them. Oh, well, we will a little bit
Great.
actually. We will a little bit,
Okay.
but in a way that's like unexpected, especially for me. I try not to touch stuff like this, but um I'm going to talk about it. So, this is the murder
Okay.
of Kirsten or Kirsten Kluyts. Now it's Kluyts. So I was like Kluyts, what is it? And then I listened to some videos from South Africa and it's like Kluyts, but it's not like that. Like I can't
It's
say
Dutch in
it.
origin.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
can't say it with the proper
Dutch name, yeah.
Dutch whatever. So it's like Kluyts.
It's your ancestry, Cindy. It's your Dutch heritage.
Well, we didn't pass down the ability to put the accent in there. I can't put any accent on it. But in any case, so this is the case of her murder. So Kirsten or that was the other thing is like there's an accent when they say her name. So I'm like, is it Kirsten or Kirsten? But in any case, Kirsten Kluyts was a 34-year-old Johannesburg teacher. She taught high
Mhm.
school. And I do not know if she was in a relationship. So
Okay.
I do know that she was 34 years old. She was well loved in her community, and she was an avid runner. And as an avid runner, she took part in this thing called My Run. It's a My Run event, and it's like one word, capital MY, capital
Mhm.
RUN, My Run. And these are like, I thought they were like big special events, but apparently they take place almost weekly. And they're sort of just groups of people who get together and run certain trails, and the people that are part of my run are like the timekeepers, and they like give everybody like your like I think there's like bracelets for like how quickly like for every lap you do or something, or somehow it's basically people go and they run together, but they're trying to like run their own personal best. Running is competitive, but most people who like run or jog or do marathons,
Competing
it's
against
more
themselves.
yeah, exactly. They're competing against their
Yeah.
previous best. So she was running in this My Run event that took place at George Leah Park in Parkmore, Johannesburg. This was October 29th at around 7 in the morning. And she is taking part in this run with like a bunch of other people. So there's tons of people running this trail. There's tons of people, you know, out and about. It's early morning, but it's definitely not like a solo jog like my last case where she's like out in the boonies running on like, almost not abandoned roads, but very like infrequently, traveled roads. This is like a bunch of people at a park all doing the same thing, which makes this to me like a really fucking crazy case. So she goes
Yeah.
running and around like 8:05 or 7:35 a.m., some point very like right before this all happens, there is a video taken of her by like one of the CCTV, and she's wearing like kind of like a bright blue shirt, black pants, and she's smiling. She's smiling at the camera as she's like going by and going for her jog, right? So people see her, she's on CCTV and she disappears into this park. Now, a little while later, about 30 minutes or so, everybody else has finished the run. Everybody else has crossed the finish line. They've been accounted for. She does not show up. So people go looking for her, and pretty quickly they find her naked body dead in the brush right off the trail.
Oh my
Which,
gosh.
again, there are a bunch of people here. This is like an event set up by a company. This is not like she's out
Yeah.
by herself for an early morning jog. She's in
Ugh,
groups of people. So fucking
that's wild.
crazy, right?
Not your typical jogger murder like that you
Not at
pictured.
all. Not at
Yeah.
all. She's with people. She's being safe. She's like doing what she needs to do, you know. So anyway, her body is found, and immediately they start investigating. And it takes them a little while, but they get together the CCTV footage from the day. And what they find on it is fucking crazy. So they see her jogging into the park, and shortly thereafter, they see another person, a young black man, seemingly, um, jump the fence and start following behind her. Now, probably
Wow.
probably 20 minutes later, the CCTV footage catches this same man coming out of the park with a wad of black clothing in his hands. And Diva, this is the crazy part. He is now wearing a bright blue shirt. He is now wearing her
Her
shirt.
shirt?
Her shirt.
What?
He went in his
That's nuts.
clothes and came out wearing her shirt with her pants bunched in his hands and leave.
Whoa.
And they show him stashing part of her clothing, not the clothing of hers that he's wearing, and he disappears. Now, this is fucking weird. And police immediately start
Yeah,
looking
it's
for
really
the
weird.
suspect. Really fucking crazy. And within about, it took them almost exactly a month, November 26th, they finally are able to trace this suspect to a student um, who's going to school, going to college in Santon, which is like right in that same, I think it's like a
Yeah.
21-year-old. I'm so sorry. His name is hard to uh where the fuck is it? Where'd it go? I was just trying to like figure out how to say it. Bafana Mahungela. Bafana Mahungela, I think.
Okay.
So 21-year-old college student Bafana Mahungela. And they finally, pinpoint who he is, and they arrest him November 26th, 2023. Sorry, this is just this last year. So on the November 28th,
Yeah.
he makes his first appearance at the Alexandra Magistrates Court, and then he gets legal representation and he gets a date set for a bail hearing. So he's held in prison through, all of this time, from the time he's arrested, November 26th, and the last update that I really have is from like January 19th of this year. And we'll get there. So he's arrested, he's taken in, and he immediately pleads guilty, says he didn't do it, and his argument is that he just came upon her body. And because he is a black man and she is a white woman
Mm.
and they're in South Africa, he, instead of calling for help, took her clothing, put some of it
Ooh.
on, and threw the rest of it away
Oh my God.
instead
Okay.
of asking for help. Which, like, what? Like, I don't,
The I just came upon the body thing that people do is
yeah.
very strange.
And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, if you came upon the body, why did you strip her naked and wear her clothes? Like, that's fucking weird. If
That's a
you
weird move.
if you didn't want anything to do with it, then you go ahead and just walk away. Like, I understand that. Like, if you're a young black
Right.
man and
You
she's a white woman, and yeah, South Africa's pretty fucked up. I get that. But you don't strip her naked and take her clothing and like
that's the part.
wear her
Yeah.
clothing. That's the
That's
fucking
weird.
part.
Yeah.
So Kirsten Kluyts was beaten and strangled to death. They finally did come out later on because it's taken them a while to like figure out cause of death, and it was
Yeah.
head trauma. Now, he says when he saw her,
Mm.
there was a little bit of blood on her mouth and she looked like she'd been hit in the head. Her injuries were so fucking extensive. She was beaten, I think, with fists to the point of death and also
Oh
strangled.
my God, that's so brutal and
So
slow.
brutal. The worst part is that this woman had recently undergone intense IVF treatments so that she could get pregnant.
No,
She was
no,
she was 14 weeks pregnant when she was murdered after trying for years
no.
at 34 years of age.
This is revenge for all the shit that I've fucked you up with. Now you're fucking me up. That's
I
so
know.
sad.
I know. It's really fucked up. She finally was pregnant, 14 weeks along, and
Oh my
was
God.
fucking murdered.
That's
So,
so sad.
yeah. So when they found so during this so they take him to he has a bail trial. They haven't even gone on trial for this yet. Now he testified that her body was almost cold when he touched her to feel for a pulse, which is not possible given the timeline. He also
Yeah.
said he saw blood on her cheek and that her neck was swollen. The state during his bail trial presented several images that showed her with extensive injuries to her eyes, nose, teeth, and mouth. So teeth.
Ugh.
Her whole face is bruised. And he's saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's not what it looked like when I saw her."
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah. So, in any case, he is pleading not guilty, saying he just came upon her body. The courts are obviously like, that's not true. One of the more recent things that happened, like in the last month, is so he was charged with premeditated because he jumped the fence and followed her. So
Mm.
premeditated murder and rape, but they
Okay.
recently did the autopsy and it was inconclusive as to whether or not she had actually
Um.
been raped, and there isn't
Okay.
seemingly any DNA. So that's a bit of a
Okay.
blow to the prosecution, but it doesn't mean he didn't murder her. The
Right.
problem is it doesn't seem that there's a lot of DNA evidence to prove that he did. So it feels like even with the video footage, it's a largely circumstantial case.
I
But
mean, the clothing thing is wild, though. That's like a huge
fucking
circumstantial thing.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking weird. But the problem for me with that is he really could be like, I'm just a weird ass person who took her clothing. That right there explains why his DNA is on her. If they're gonna find like touch DNA or
I
skin,
mean, it's a long shot, but yeah.
it's a long shot, but there is doubt. Now, this isn't the United States, so, I don't know that their court proceedings are exactly the same as ours. They might be like, that's a cute
Right.
try, fuck off. I don't know. In any case, that's where we're at with this. Very fucking sad. You know, pregnant, looking forward to finally getting that she wanted. I guess she'd had surgery and had an ovary removed, so she was having
Ugh,
a really difficult
that's
time.
really tough.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
and had finally, was having a healthy pregnancy, was like stoked on life, and then just for
Fucked
no
up.
fucking reason, this kid attacked her. And I do want to say that he did have some seemingly violent charge against him from when he was a minor.
Mm,
Apparently, he avoided jail time for whatever. It like the records are not the same as they are here. Like it's harder to find out what he did, but he does
right.
have like some sort of history of violence. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. They haven't gone to trial yet. My money's on that he absolutely fucking did it.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty senseless and also just like very fucking weird, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just like everybody's people are around. It's crazy that nobody saw it happen, you know, because there were so many people running that exact same trail at that same time. It's fucked up. Bad situation. So,
It's fucked up. And it's really sad that all these women and girls in these cases were just trying to run.
yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I think of Ahmaud Arbery too. It's like you should really be able to utilize public space like that, and it's like really depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So,
There they are.
there they are. And we didn't
Oh
discuss what I wanted to do for the next,
no,
but I'd like to do people murdered on first dates.
we did that. Do a
On first
redo?
dates? I want to do a redo. There were
Technically,
2 well, there were 2 I remember we actually I thought we did it. There were 2 that I wanted to redo, and the
okay.
first dates one is more popular. I was also thinking military murders, but I realized, like, not that many people listen to our military murders episode by
Mm,
comparison. Like, it still has, like,
comparatively.
hundreds of
I
listens or
mean,
whatever, but, like,
that's like a classic 4th of July topic.
yeah, and we're almost there, but we're not quite there. So I was just kind of picking something. I'm like, well,
First dates.
I was like, Valentine's Day is already gone, but it's an interesting topic. There's so many that we can cover.
Yeah.
I
And I think there
almost
was such a long list, we could even do in part 2 with no repeats as well.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
thinking that I picked 3. For some reason, I thought we hadn't done the first dates, but the other 2 that I picked were repeats. So military murders, then I was also thinking family annihilators, but we've done that one twice. And I'm like, I know
I
we could do it
mean,
10 times, but I want to wait a little longer
yes.
to like repeat.
Everyone everyone loves the family
I
annihilators though. It's
know.
weird.
They're
Yeah.
popular.
And
People are always just hoping for that. What's that guy, Chris, whatever? Like, they're
I knew
hoping we're
Chris
gonna, yeah,
Watts.
fuck that fuckwad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but I want to do Murdered on First Dates again because,
There's actually been cases in the news too since we did that of new people
yep,
killed on first dates.
I
Like,
know. It's such a
um,
big like topic, unfortunately, and it's so scary and
yeah,
weird. But I feel like we're gonna have our pick of some pretty interesting cases. So I just
it's
wanted
really
to,
scary to date.
yeah, it's terrifying.
So,
It's horrible. Ugh.
ugh. Just like, oh hey, strange man, let's meet up.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So there it is. Thanks everybody for listening. Please like, rate, review, share with your friends and family. Join us on Instagram. Join us on Patreon. I guess that's it.
Mhm.
Check out the website. Everything's linked in our show notes. Anything else we want to say?
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and until the next one,
Stay.
off our
Thanks.
ways.
Yeah.
Bye.